National Council of State approves new chairman for INEC and NPC.
Insecurity in Nigeria is multifaceted and not only religious-driven.
The Senate rejects religious narrative of Nigeria's insecurity. Nigeria's First Lady arrives in Qatar for 4-day working visits on education. Hello and welcome to the late evening news at 11 on NTA News 24. We're reaching you live from Abuja. I am Comfort Fashim. The National Council of State has endorsed the nomination of Professor Joash Ojo Amupitan as the new chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. The council, at its meeting this Thursday, also approved the nomination of Aminu Yusuf from Niger State for chairmanship of National Population Commission, NPC. State House correspondent Musbaudan Wahab reports that the Police Council's meeting was also held successfully.
President Bola Tinubu would chair the National Council of State meeting for the second time. Former heads of state, General Ibrahim Babangida and General Abdulsalami Abubakar were online for the meeting, well attended by state governors. The meeting came timely after Professor Mahmoud Yakubu bowed out as chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. President Tinubu consequently nominated Professor Joash Ojo Amupitan from Kogi State to assume the leadership role of the electoral umpire. The council unanimously approved the nomination of a 58-year-old professor who specializes in company law, law of evidence, corporate governance and privatization law.
Speaker after speaker spoke glowingly of this professor as a very serious-minded scholar, a man of high integrity, and a tested and trusted hand who has never participated in any partisan politics.
Similarly, following the approval of the council, Dr. Aminu Yusuf from Niger State will now take over as the new chairman of the National Population Commission, NPC. On other matters, the Advisory Committee on Prerogative of Mercy, through the Office of Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, got approval of the council to pardon a total of 175 persons.
Of the total, email recommended for presidential clemency were about 82. Those recommended for reduced sentence for their terms of imprisonment are 65. Those recommended for reduced sentences from death to life imprisonment are about 7 in number.
The council equally sanctioned the report of the National Earners Awards Committee, which recommended a total of 824 out of about 5,000 applicants for the year 2024-2025 National Earners and Awards.
The Super Falcons of Nigeria and the Tigers were honored for their international representation and achievements in sports. And Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, the immediate past INEC chairman, was also honored for his service to Nigeria's democratic process. The list of the successful candidates will be published shortly.
The names of Ogoni 9 and Ogoni 4, earlier honored posthumously by President Bola Tinubu for their environmental activism and sacrifice, were also included on the list of the national awardees, as well as under the prerogative of mercy. From the Police Council meeting, which held immediately after, the Council approved the request of improved allocation from 0.5% to 1% of the federal allocation to the Nigeria Police Trust Fund. The Council also granted the prayer for the repeal and reenactment of the Nigeria Police Trust Fund Establishment Act 2025.
Direct the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice to input all the approvals of the Council in the proposed executive bill. All these prayers have been approved.
The peaceful reports of his soul.
The Police Council observed a minute silence in honor of the 18th Inspector General of Police, Solomon Arase, who passed away recently.
May his soul rest in perfect peace. Amen.
From the State House, Musbah Wahab, NT News.
The Kogi State government has expressed profound appreciation to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for the appointment of its distinguished son, Professor Joash Ojo Amopitan, SAN, as a new chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. In a statement, the state described the appointment as a validation of the president's commitment to merit and inclusiveness, highlighting Professor Amopitan's proven track record of integrity, intellectual depth, and administrative prowess as vital for the advancement of Nigeria's electoral system. The government, on behalf of the people of Kogi State, expressed full confidence that the new INEC chairman will uphold the confidence reposed in him and ensure credible, transparent elections while bringing further honor to the state and the nation. Senate will next week decide an appropriate line of action over allegation of religious persecution in Nigeria, as it emphasizes that insecurity in the country is not religious-driven. The Senate views the alleged Christian persecution narrative being pushed against Nigeria as an attempt to strangulate the economy of the country and create disunity among citizens. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali tells us more.
The motion regarding alleged persecution of Christians in Nigeria came up at the Nigerian Senate 24 hours after their counterparts in the House of Representatives had condemned a proposed legislation on the matter being considered by the Parliament in America and Canada. Though the Senate had postponed a resolution on the issue to next week to be reached during an executive session, the general opinion among lawmakers is that both Christians and Muslims in Nigeria suffer attacks from terrorists.
In my local government, Kirawa constituted majority Muslims, about 95 or more percent, were completely displaced and they had to run to Cameroon. Unfortunately, it was reported that they were Christians.
And I think as a parliament, we must take a position and we must join hands with the government to inform the U.S. and the U.S. Congress that the position they are taking is not in tandem with the reality of what is going on.
The argument is that most of the launch counter-terrorism approach are not sufficient enough to actually engage the terrorists. The summary of my submission is that we engage knowledge and know the strategy of the terrorists.
Let our resolution here today, on the basis of this motion, be that as a Senate, it is our conviction that the insecurity problem, the insecurity challenge in Nigeria is not religion-driven. Most of them are outsiders. When they come and start spraying bullets or they throw rocket, they are not throwing rocket into the crowd targeting a particular religion. They are killing Nigerians. What is happening in the United States is of concern to Nigeria. It's of concern to the Christians, it's of concern to the Muslims. Because the moment they bring sanctions to breed poverty.
The motion before the Senate was sponsored by Senator Lindumi and 20 other lawmakers.
Proper reaction to this motion should be stepped down until when we have an executive session.
The Senate is at the moment considering sending a delegation to interact with members of Parliament in America. Plenary featured first reading of 5 bills, one of which seeks the establishment of Complementary and Alternative Medicine Council of Nigeria. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
As the world celebrates the International Day of the Girl Child, Nigeria's House of Representatives is urging action from government ministries and agencies to make girls' education and skills development top priority. The House passed a resolution to this effect at Thursday's plenary. National Assembly correspondent Mitaire Ipe reports.
Yes, please. Lawmakers acknowledge that girls often bear the brunt of armed conflicts and public health emergencies, but have remained undaunted despite their challenges, especially in crisis-affected communities. They call for greater commitment to securing and empowering the girl child in Nigeria.
We urge security agencies and relevant stakeholders to implement measures to protect girls from violence and exploitation during crisis. Urge the Ministry of Women Affairs to create safe spaces providing mental health support to girls to help them cope with trauma.
In other resolutions, the House called for a probe of all funds allocated to implement the Electricity Power Sector Reform Program from 2007 to 2024, while also faulting the financial books of the National Examination Council.
The House resolved to conduct an investigation into the activity of transmission companies, all these costs, their remittances, the tariff regime, and to ascertain the effectiveness or otherwise of the privatized power sector.
The House is worried that NECO is allegedly implementing its vehement without the required legislative approval. If this is so, it is a flagrant violation of our Constitution and inherent powers of this Honorable House.
The bill seeking the creation of Ibadan State scaled second reading alongside the bill seeking establishment of the National Institute for Technical and Vocational Education, Kankara, Katsina State.
When you talk about population in Ibadan alone today, Mr. Speaker, we have about 6 million plus living in Ibadan. Most people live in Ibadan and work in Lagos every day. Ibadan deserve their own state.
Meanwhile, Adeshola Elegbeji has been sworn in as member of the House to represent Ikene Shagamu Remo North, Federal Constituency of Ogun State, to fill the vacuum left by late Deputy Majority Whip of the House, Adewumi Ononuga. From the National Assembly, Mitaire Ikwen, NTA News.
With a resounding voice, the Speaker, House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, has maintained the stance of the 10th Assembly in ensuring that women representation and all-round well-being of girl child is of priority in the ongoing Constitution review. This he affirmed when paying host to the delegation of the Gender Mobile Initiative in commemoration of the 2025 International Day of the Girl Child. National Assembly correspondent Joshua Ogunjide reports.
They are from different ethnic backgrounds, representing millions of Nigerian girls seeking prominence in decision-making, having passed through a short mentorship workshop to lay down their submissions.
It reminds us of the urgency to listen, urgency to act, and urgency to create a world where girls themselves would have their realities as living possibilities and not as deferred dreams.
Could there be opportunities for selected girls across Nigeria to participate in legislative exchange programs, an initiative that would allow us to observe parliamentary sittings, engage with lawmakers, and build our leadership and policy capacity early?
The interaction continued with emphasis on women representation in the National Assembly, girl child participation and governance, as well as girl child safety.
We have come up with a bill called the Reserved Seat for Women. And the House, from its own side, has decided to even engage a lot of them as legislative aides to further acquire more training.
As an academic, Speaker Habas Tajuddin likewise touched vices bordering on tertiary education, early child marriages, child labor, and pedophilic tendencies in the society, alongside constituency interventions for younger generation.
So we will support this initiative of taking it to all the nooks and corners of the country, to all our tertiary institutions, that enough is enough on the issue of sexual harassment of female students, particularly by lecturers. I remember any member in every annual provision that does not include certain amount of money meant for training and empowering women and youth in his constituency.
The global theme for the day is Girl I Am, the Change I Lead Before My Time Runs Out. In Abuja, Joshua Oguchiri, NT News.
You're watching the late evening news at 11 on NT News 24. We'll take a break now. Stay with us.
Feel the power of precision, engineered to perfection. Every component is crafted with care, and each design is meticulously tested. From concept to creation, our engineers push the boundaries of technology, seamlessly blending performance and sustainability with a deep commitment to African ingenuity. Introducing the CNG Boss, a remarkable achievement in engineering designed to operate on compressed natural gas, a cleaner and more sustainable fuel alternative. At Innocent Vehicles, we proudly lead the way in creating greener mobility across Africa. And it doesn't stop there. From SUVs to sedans, spacious buses to electric cars, Innocent offers a wide range of models designed to meet every need. Innocent Vehicle, the pride of African Road.
Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, has arrived Doha, the capital city of Qatar. She landed at Doha Hamad International Airport Thursday evening to begin a 4-day working visit to the country on the invitation of the chairperson of Qatar Foundation, Her Highness Sheikha Moza bint Nasser Al Misnad. The visit is part of a mission the First Lady is undertaking to advance the cause of out-of-school children and reform Al-Majiri education system in Nigeria. During her visits, she will engage with the Qatar Foundation Chair as well as Minister of Social Development, Buthaina Al-Nuaimi, among other key stakeholders in Qatar. The First Lady is accompanied on the visit by the Minister of State for Education, Professor Suwaiba Ahmed, and the Executive Secretary of the National Commission for Al-Majiri and Out-of-School Children Education Commission, Dr. Muhammad Sani. Education is not just set to be the bedrock of every society, but a transformative investment, not at cost, and so investing in education system through financing lays foundation for more peaceful and sustainable societies. It is for this reason that as a civil society group under the aegis of Civil Society Action Coalition on Education for All is advocating an increased education funding as a pathway to quality and inclusive learning for all. Chinenye Nwoye reports.
Education is said to be one of the long-term investments any country can make. It not only reduces poverty, improves health, promotes gender equality, but drives economic growth and strengthens institutions. This gathering of key players drawn from civil society groups, FCT Treasury Department and its Education Secretariat is therefore to monitor, evaluate and review education financing in Nigeria with a view to addressing the issues of underfunding, mobilize financial and political commitments to close education funding gaps and encourage more efficient spending.
We know that education sector is supposed to get at least 20% share size from the budget. So we're trying to see how we can improve that, how we can get that, because we know that everything that lies behind education sector is funding.
The civil society has a responsibility to measure, to check, to monitor, to give back data. Firstly, we know the number of children that are out of school. Secondly, the infrastructure. This money was allocated for 5-story building, 2-story building. Is it allocated? Is it used? If it is not, who used it?
We want to see how maybe a form of advisory or any form of support that can be given to support education financing.
This summit is being held across 7 states in Nigeria throughout the 6 geopolitical zones. So we are supporting the states to raise awareness on the issues around education financing.
It is hoped that the outcome of this summit will aid in creating sustainable long-term strategies that will promote equal access to quality education for all. Raise your hands for education. In Abuja, Chinenye Nwoye, NTA News.
The federal government has given all tertiary institutions 30-day deadline to reconcile and submit reports of unutilized balances within the Tertiary Education Trust Fund for joint verification. Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, issued the directive at a meeting with heads of federal tertiary institutions, bursars, and procurement directors. Zenret Dimu reports.
This engagement is part of the ministry's renewed commitment to enforcing zero-tolerance policy on financial mismanagement and addressing recurrent issue of unutilized funds in tertiary institutions. To further address the challenge, plans are underway to introduce capacity-building programs aimed at enhancing expertise in procurement and project management, alongside the enforcement of quarterly reviews.
These are funds that we need to build classes, build laboratories, engineering workshops, faculty offices, student auditoriums, buy instructional materials to tertiary institutions. Also, some of these funds that might even be there that lecturers need for career advancement.
There are guidelines on how these funds are being accessed. And once that guidelines are not met, that money cannot be accessed. So these things, sometimes it takes time.
The Ministry of Education appeals to stakeholders to work collectively towards reversing the negative trend and ensure prudent use of public resources. In Abuja, Zenred Dingmun, NTA News.
President Bola Tinubu has paid tribute to the late Dr. Christopher Kolade, describing him as an intellectual giant, boardroom icon, and a true Nigerian patriot. Dr. Kolade passed away at 92. In a statement, the president hailed his distinguished career as a broadcaster, former chairman of Cadbury Nigeria, Nigeria's High Commissioner to the UK, and Director General of the Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation. President Tinubu also highlighted Dr. Kolade's contributions to education through the Lagos Business School and his philanthropic work supporting sickle cell patients. He praised the late statesman as a man of unimpeachable integrity whose exemplary life is worthy of celebration. We end the news here. Thank you for being a part of it. I am Comfort Fashim.